welcome financial professionals. My name is Josh Meester, Regional Vice President Partner here at E4, welcoming you to the Brew, building relationships every week. Thank you for tuning in, and for those tuning in for the first time, welcome. We always start the Brewcast by celebrating today's national days, which we have 3 of them. I feel like there's always at least 3 for every day. We have National Sprinkle Day. I don't know if that's sprinkle is in rain or the topping. We'll go with the topping. I think more people like ice cream than rain. We got National Gorgeous Grandma Day. My grandma just turned 91 a couple weeks ago, so shout out to her. And then lastly is International Yada 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 Day. I believe that's a Seinfeld thing or saying. I don't know. Believe it or not, I never actually watched Seinfeld all that much. But today we are continuing July's lineup on worksite and voluntary guarantee issue. I'm joined here by Ryan Goodchild, Senior Vice President of Business Solutions at Principal Financial, who's going to talk about their multi-life program. So thank you, Ryan, for joining us today. Welcome.
Thanks, Josh. Happy to be here.
I mean, we can just dive right into it, Ryan, and maybe just to start, multi-life guarantee issue. I feel like me and you have had this conversation. We try to stay away from the term guarantee issue. Many people call it that. I think it's even called guaranteed issue term or something, but I really revert back to multi-life. So maybe just to tee it up and start there so people don't get, I guess, off on the wrong page. Can you maybe just high level start with what multi-life versus guarantee issue means?
Yeah. So we've kind of gone as an industry, gone through a few iterations of this. So 5 years ago, it probably was closer to the vernacular of guaranteed issue, right? If you hit the criteria of ages, the death benefit, and the job titles, they would approve it. But as an industry, we've kind of transitioned now to what we call multi-life underwriting. We're going to get a little bit more information. And I guess the clarification is if the group qualifies, then it becomes guaranteed issue. So that's kind of the flyer that goes out there. So not true guaranteed like it was, a couple of years ago, not true guaranteed as if you're going through a group benefits plan or a census enroll, and if they're working full time, they're in the plan after 30 days or whatever. So yeah, it's moved. We've evolved a little bit, and it's pretty consistent across the board now as an industry, as a multi-life platform.
Yeah, and just to be clear, we're not talking the possibilities of exams, blood, urine, APSs. We're not talking about that for anybody listening in. There's just a little bit of background. Again, Ryan just mentioned census, enrolled. We get essentially the clients or groups data points, date of birth, residential zip code, very, very basic information. They just run a score up front essentially and give you the green light, red light, and then you're off and running. So, and real quick too, you just mentioned maybe the little bit of a shift as of 5 years ago. How long has Principal been in this space? Because I feel like you guys might have been at least one of the first few.
We were about 2018 was when we started down this path, and it kind of aligned with us as an enterprise with what we were doing on the 401k front, the group benefits front. And this was a nice dovetail for us to carve out individuals within a company that maybe needed a little bit more coverage, a little bit more benefit compared to the rank and file employees. And so it was a concentrated effort for us to find what that solution was, and this was it.
Perfect. I'll let you get into it then.
Yeah, so I'll go into the program here a little bit, and I'll talk a little bit about the qualifications that you just hit on there, Josh. And for us, we do have so today's conversation is going to be around term.
Yep.
But I will say up front, and this will be the first time probably anybody's hearing it, we have the ability to do permanent coverage. And as of last week, we have the ability to do down to 5 lives on our executive VUL contract, which is our 162 bonus contract. We use it for our non-qualified deferred comp. So I can cover that a little bit if you want me to. If not, so we do a 10 and 20-year term option, and it's going to be dependent off of age. So generally, I'll start with every year Principal does a business owner insight survey. We interview about 1,000 business owners that are Principal customers. And we've done that since 2008. But since 2010, business protection has been the #1 priority that these business owners have addressed as a concern of theirs. So what does business protection mean? It's the impact of a loss of an owner or an employee to death, disability, or departure. So cash flow, the business valuation, the impact in this catastrophic event of somebody in an ownership position or as a key employee passing away or becoming disabled. So it's strictly for the benefit of the company, owned and paid for by the company, to help bridge that gap when there is that catastrophic loss of a life, to keep the lights on, to keep the business running, to use the proceeds of the death benefit for whichever way they see fit. So that way there's no blip in the actual performance of the company. And that's been since 2010, and it has been steady #1 across the board. So for this purpose, we do multi-life underwriting when they've identified individuals in the group that as a percentage of their contributions to the company, they can't survive, or they would have some major implications if something were to happen to them for the continuation of the company. So we actually do offer 2 different group rates, preferred and standard. And during that process, and so that's where when you hit on, Josh, kind of the information that we gather is we're going to do, as an industry, you'll hear it called de-identified script check, de-identified group score. Yep. So with the name, date of birth, and the residential zip, we send it to a company that runs it through their system as pretty much universal across the board. Other companies will use it the same way. Everybody's got their own different agreements as far as what classifies as a passing grade or a non-passing grade. Yep. We don't know anything else about the group, and that's where the de-identified portion comes in. And they run it through an algorithm. The algorithm kicks out a score, kind of a pass, no pass. So that takes everything into consideration. They'll do a script check. They'll do the script check is the biggest one. But again, we don't get to see the name attached to any information that we get. We just get yes, no. Yep. We get yes.
You have no idea if a group gets declined. You don't know it's the CEO or the CFO. Nope. It is a group collective score.
Correct.
So high level, you have 20, 50 people, whatever. The more people, I guess. Yep. Again, I don't want to put anything out there that's not, this is no guarantees or anything, but the more people you have, the better chance you most likely have, being that it is, the group. So
correct. Yep.
And knock on wood, I've yet to have a decline. So
we've got a pretty high success rate with the program that we've developed with that third party that runs that algorithm. So it's based off of risk tolerance from each carrier that offers a program similar to this. Based off of what they're looking for. So we've had pretty high success rates. The good thing about the way that we do it is if we see some trouble with the group, whether it's a non-passing score that we get, is depending on the request, is we can submit multiple times, so we can refine the group a little bit better if we have an idea based off of information from the company on who may be what is causing that non-pass grade to come through.
They all know way more than
they have an idea. And it's and I will say it's weighted, right? So if you've got a group of 20 lives and there's a handful of them asking for $1 million of death benefit and the rest are around 200, 250,000, and we're getting a non-passing score, is we do know that it's a weighted average of death benefit requested. So maybe it's just a matter of bringing that $1 million down a little bit so it's more in line with the rest of the group. So it's less weighted to the impact of the score.
That's news to me. I did not know that. So here I am learning something on the brew myself.
And so that helps. And so that group score is only for the term product. When we go to that permanent solution, whether it be for cash value products, if there's going to be some sort of buyout for an owner or for a bonus plan for an employee on this multi-life platform, we do not use that group score. So it's only for the term product itself specifically.
So permanent truly is guarantee issue.
Yep.
Term is let's call it the curve score.
Curve score, correct. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. And so, if we were having this conversation, last, 12 to 18 months ago, was we started this at 10 lives and above. Within the past 12 to 18 months, as we've moved that down now, you actually can see there is 5 to 9 lives. Now there is a stipulation is if you're going 5 to 9 lives on the term product, 10 or 20 years, depending on the age, and you can mix and match. It doesn't have to be all 10 or all 20. It can be. So 55 and above is going to get 10-year term. 54 and below can get 20-year term. And you can intermingle and mix and match the 10 and 20 with the ages if you like. So they can go down to 5 lives as long as they have an existing group benefits plan with Principal, or they go through that guarantee standard issue IDI platform. So the multi-life platform for IDI is if they do that in conjunction or within a relatively short amount of time, so they do a combo conversation, you can go down to 5 to 9 lives.
And that's on the life side, Ryan, that's capped at 500,000 death benefit, correct?
Correct. 5 to 9 is capped at 500,000.
And maybe it's on a future slide, so stop me if it is, but maybe just touch on the multipliers when it comes to just if you have 10 or 20.
Yep. Yeah. So great segue. So the equation is there's a multiple times the number of lives. So 5 to 9 is capped at 500,000 down to the minimum of the product at 200,000. If you're in that 10 to 19 life group size, it's 60,000 times the number of lives. So if you have 10 lives, you can go up to 600,000 per life, and that's the max guidelines that we have. Now we do have a number of conversations where if that group score is good enough, if they come through at a preferred rate, we do have a number of conversations with underwriters with saying, okay, we know the multiplier is tapped at 600,000, but with the group score being a preferred, do you feel like we could get to 700 or 750,000? And I've yet to be told that it doesn't make sense for us. Now, if they're coming through and saying we got 10 lives and we need $1.5 million or $2 million on everybody, that's too much, right? Yeah. So we ask for an inch, take an inch. We're not taking a mile on that thing. And then once we get to 20 lives and above, it's 75,000 times the number of lives. Now it's not on this slide, but if we do get to those groups where there's 50 or more lives, then again we take off that curve score and it goes back to true multi-life underwriting, because we know the sampling of the lives is so large that we don't have to worry about some outlier being in there throwing off the group score.
Okay, so you guys above 50 again, no matching score whatsoever. Okay, good to know.
Yep. And the neat thing is so per plan or per group, it does max out at 5 million. Just to if you have the appropriate number of lives that you could get to 5 million, it would cap out at 5 million. That's not to say you couldn't stack it with those other carriers that offer a similar plan. So you could stack multiple groups of multi-life underwriting if and when that rare occasion that would come up.
I'd love to run across that one.
Yeah, you and me both. We would never turn that down.
Big number.
Yep. So we do a salary increase rider, which comes into play. So we have a salary increase rider. It's not shown here, but we have a business value increase rider that would apply in these scenarios. So if we're doing a group of business owners for buy-sell purposes and we're going through multi-life underwriting, you could do a business value increase rider, which is a non-underwritten rider that increases the value of the base term policy to kind of keep pace with the value of the business going up. Salary increase rider, very similar concept, is when you're doing key executives, instead of just doing trying to do 1 times or 2 times their income from a death benefit perspective for the purpose of the business, is salary increase rider will increase up to 50,000 annually at no cost. And then if you go above increments of 50,000, there's a slight, it's with proof of W-2 or proof of HR confirmation that the increase has occurred to salary, is the death benefit can actually increase alongside with that.
Oh, nice to have those things built in.
Yep. Just in case, it was asked more and more. If you asked what the utilization was, I don't know if it's one of those things where they just like to know from an owner's perspective, if they wanted to, they could. We don't see a lot of the utilization. They just like to know that security blanket that it's there if they want it. Yep. Convertibility. So there is within the first 5 years inside a plan, they could convert into a permanent product. Yep. So first 5 years or age 70, whichever happens first.
And I've seen that come into play, Ryan. An executive leaves, retires, whatever it may be. It's nice, and I just want to make it clear these things are portable. So that key person retires, leaves, etc. They take over the policy, and maybe it does make sense. If they were one of those people that were like, "Hey, our score passed, great." I know I wasn't helping that score. It's nice having that conversion option in there to all your guys, and it is to all permanent products, Ryan, or is it
correct?
Is it certain? Okay,
all permanent products, and we do see it. So when we talk multi-life underwriting at Principal, we do 2 different paths. One for the employer, when the employer owns it and the employer pays it for the benefit of the company. But it's a true 50-50 mix where we see employer sponsored, employer paid, and employee owned. So it's an extension of adding on to that group life plan that they've got, where maybe the group plan is capped out at 50,000 per executive, but they're making 300,000. So there's a shortfall or a gap in between what they would like to provide for them, but maybe they don't want to provide it to everybody. So they carve out those, and again, that's where that can. If the employer owns it, they can transfer ownership to the employee if they leave. Then they can convert it. If it's employee owned, they can convert it anytime they want to. Again, a lot of options, but we kind of see 2 facets of it: owned and benefit for the employer, owned benefit for the employee. So that's a 50-50 mix that we do see quite a bit of.
And the exec bonus is unisex, correct?
Correct. Perfect. We are a default unisex rate. Depending on the group, they can't opt out with the Norris letter provided and just go sex distinct if they want. I know some places give them the option. We just are a default unisex for bonus. And then, so when we say comprehensive plan and policy administration, we've made some pretty vast strides. We call it BMA, Business Markets Administration. So there's going to be a contact person for the employer, for the HR, for E4 to reach out to for health of a plan, timing of payments. Where it really comes into play with this multi-life stuff is when they have a new employee or somebody. I should say this is when you have a group, we have to identify kind of what the qualifying criteria is for the group.
Yep.
All management levels, all VP level, all owners. So we established that equation or that criteria for the group because that gives us an idea on our administrative side is when somebody gets a promotion into that group, now do they need to be added into this plan? If they hire somebody, where do they qualify? So it's just for future add-ons, we kind of have to have those guidelines set of who's going to be in the plan, when do we add them into the plan. And so that's as simple as reaching out to that BMA contact person. Add-ons or enrollments into the plan is a much simpler process than the initial one where you go through that curve score. You provide age, are they working full-time? Are they active military? Have they been declined coverage at any point in time over the last 12 months? And so that is much more a census-driven enrollment when the plan is already existing. They provide it, we add them to the plan, they're added to the list bill or to the billing status, and away we go.
Yep, just got to set that definition, call it up front, which I'll say some are straightforward. You just kind of hit it. All managers, all C-suite. Some groups you need to get a little creative, let's say, and between
Yeah.
either your RVP at E4 or using Ryan and his team. I will say you guys have always been open to kind of putting everybody's minds together. Like, all right, how are we defining, this group? Because let's face it, our advisors and their clients, they know kind of who they want, and
Yep.
and then that's kind of where we work together to kind of figure out, okay, this is how we need to kind of define this to get that group that you're telling us you truly want. But
Yep.
it's nice that it's not, we're trying to sneak something past you or do this. This is just open conversation. Here's what we're trying to do. And at the end of the day, I would say we're pretty darn good at figuring it out, even with principal's help.
Yeah, and that's the best part, is because of the relationship that E4 has with principal is, a lot of times we'll see a group where it's one manager is included, but one manager isn't. And it's as simple as picking up the phone and talking to our, we have GI and GSI underwriters that focus solely on that. And it's, okay, maybe that manager is going to retire next year and we don't need to include them into the plan. So there's always a way to discuss it and say, okay, this one's going to stay on for the next 10 years. They're in the plan. This one has the same job title, but normally would qualify, but we don't see the need to put them in. Or even with today, the way it's been going is you see a lot of these companies coming through where they've bought a competitor or they've merged with somebody and the job titles don't necessarily match up, but the job description is almost identical.
Yep.
And again, it's a simple conversation, is they're doing the exact same job, but the old company called them this, the new company calls them this. It's the same thing. Include them in the group for the same, either a multiple of income or a tiering system. So the VP up to the C-suite gets X amount, and then the managers down to department heads get this amount. So it can be tailored off of income, or it can be tailored off of job title for a tier perspective. Very flexible. And again, the beauty, I think, with us is it's just picking up the phone and having a conversation. I can, name off the 5 or 6 underwriters. Personally, just pick up the phone. You and I have a conversation with them, and then they're good with it.
Yep, absolutely.
And so kind of what constitutes a good fit for us, right, is there truly needs to be an employer-employee relationship. The ability to hire and fire somebody is kind of the defining characteristic of what group qualifies. Board of, it's owners, directors, if there's board members, external directors, we can do that. Actively at work, they haven't been gone for 5 days in a row in the past 90 days. We do want to know tobacco status.
Yep.
And I will say that's an area that we are improving on. Traditionally, tobacco status for us, again, with full transparency because of our partnership, is an unexpected tobacco status could really skew the numbers. A lot of times we'll quote preliminary before we define. We'll look at the entire group and we'll quote it, and a lot of times we come back and we kind of we kind of move the group around. Yeah, we winnow it down. But if an unexpected tobacco comes up that we don't know about when we've already quoted it, it could impact the final price, and then that's where the problems come up, right? Where you said it was 10,000 for the group, but now it's actually 25,000.
Yep.
So getting that up front, our minimum salary requirement is 75,000. But
that's bonus, commissions, all that
total
stuff.
Comp. Yeah,
we're not just talking base.
Correct. Total comp. And actually, if you have a 35-year-old making 70,000, we've made really strong arguments to say over the course of their employment at the company, at some point in time, as somebody that young making that good of money, they're going to qualify for the group. So let's put them in on day one.
Yep. And I was just going to say that I've skirted the line there. And again, you're not going to get somebody in making 35,000, but you got that 65, call it plus, and a conversation. I guess I'd just say don't draw the line in the sand at 75 necessarily. Have a conversation with us, and we can see if we can get it done.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to keep an open mind, so you should as well. And then as long as it's executive management, a leadership position, white collar type of thing, that's our criteria. It's kind of a white collar thing, because we know there's a lot of blue collar positions making really good money that would, they're leaps and bounds above that $75,000 threshold. From an income perspective, it's just the job title itself. And so that's something that we need to be aware of. We see some really good groups. Unfortunately, it just doesn't fit the program. So those, again, that's where you go to full underwriting or another carrier. I know there's other carriers out there that are, different criteria, different parameters around that.
Yep. And
then average age of 55 or less. So take the entire group, average age 55. Again, it feels like that's kind of the theme of the thing is we've had numerous conversations where the average age is 56. We still get them approved. We still put them on the books. It's still something that we're working on. So again, it's with any of these is just engaging you, E4, and having the conversation around is, do you think there's a way through? And I would with some fair confidence, if we have those conversations because of the relationship, we're pretty lucky with the group that we're working with.
Yeah, the only thing I'd tack on, you cannot have anybody over age 70.
Correct.
That is a line in the sand. I've run into it.
Yes.
Enough times you have that 72-year-old CEO that's just going to work forever. So
yep.
For those listening, over 70, those people are going to automatically be disqualified, call it.
Correct. Yeah, we would leave them out of the group.
We'd leave them out of the group.
Qualify. Yep. And so then here's the multipliers again, just in case. And again, with the announcement today is if you do get into a situation with you have five executives that they're looking to do a bonus plan on, prior to this week, right, you would have to go through full underwriting with 5 lives, or you'd have to find a group that would be 10 lives or more to get them through a multi-life permanent product solution. But you can do, if anybody's variably licensed, you can do our institutionally priced VUL on the platform.
Okay, perfect.
I will say we've had the ability with our relationship with underwriting, if you have a group of 10 or more lives, but maybe you want to mix and match the concept. Say we have 15 employees, but 5 of them are owners and we want to do some sort of equity buyout, and 10 are going to be owned by the company for the benefit of the company. So you have 15 lives and you do 10 on term, 5 on a permanent product. Multiplier then would be based off that 15 number of lives. So you wouldn't have to have 10 for the permanent to get that 10 lives. You wouldn't have to have 10 for the term. As long as you have 10 or more for the total company, you can mix and match concept designs and be below the stated participant levels here, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yep.
And then implementation, this one's been the best. It's from a term perspective, it's all e-enrollment. You send us the census, we get the approval, we get the approval letter from the underwriter, and based off the census, then our enrollment team will send out emails. If it's going to be employer owned, that's just the master application. Each participant then will just get a consent to be insured to their inbox. The master application for the employer to sign as the sponsor to the plan can be an e-app. So we can pre-populate everything. We just get the signatures that get sent back to us for e-delivery. The participants do the consent to be insured, and then the policy gets e-delivered back to the company. So everything is, back, a year, 2 years ago, if you had a large enough group, 15 to 20, it would be a tough task. You'd have to go out and take 15 paper applications. No longer the case. We're not asking anybody to put pen to paper. That. No, it's easier on all of us. And so the enrollment process is considerably simpler today, much more streamlined, and it gets things in and out of the pipeline quite a bit quicker.
Yeah, and I've probably done maybe 15, 20 of these plans now. Is there a little bit of a learning curve on the front end just to know who's doing what, principal sending this, or we getting a master app? There's a little bit to it, but once you kind of get in the groove of it, it is pretty slick and easy on all accounts, even from the employee level.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, with that, as we wrap up, I'd just like to remind everybody that today's brew and all of our brews are recorded and shared on our brew page on E4's website, www.e4.insurance. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with all of our brewcasts. They are released every Wednesday. So next week, the brew will be released at 10 a.m. Central. Brady Serold, Senior VP of Disability at E4, and Rob Serwinski, Head of Worksite Sales at Illinois Mutual, will be discussing their worksite benefit solution and explore the best ways to encourage participation, educate employees, and enroll them in valuable benefits being offered. So with that, Ryan, I really appreciate you joining us and running through this. Obviously, again, anybody listening, if you had a business owner pop into mind, you didn't maybe catch all of this or just bits and pieces, just pick up the phone, call your RVP at E4. We're here to help. So thanks again, Ryan, and everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next week on The Brew.
Thank you.